Hello, my English 106B students. This is Mrs. Stoops. I am your English credit recovery teacher, and we are going to talk about your argumentative essay today because it is due, and I want to make sure you know exactly how to do it. So, first things first, right over here is what it looks like when you open up your course and look at your content. It's week 3 assignment or argument essay, LC2. Don't let this happen to you. Don't let it become overdue. Get this done and turned in by Sunday night. If you click on your grades tab right here, this is what you will see. Persuasive essay, final draft. Persuasive and argument essay are interchangeable. I realize that doesn't match up from what it's called in the content to what it's called in the grade book, and I could fix that. I could make them match, but they're synonymous with one another in the language arts world. All right, I am going to jump off the video here real quick so that I can give you the full screen of what's going on. All right, so here's a little bit of argument practice for you. Imagine you and your friends have been stranded on a deserted island for days and have finally been rescued. Everyone wants to be taken directly to a fast food restaurant to eat. In order to make that happen, you must all agree on which restaurant it should be. Fill in the areas below to make a strong case for the restaurant you believe would be the best for everybody. Think about it for a second. What would be your first restaurant choice? I'm thinking mine would be, if I had been on a desert island. Fast food. I mean, it has to be fast food. It can't be like a sit-down restaurant. I think I had a McDonald's addiction in college. I would probably pick McDonald's. I know, that's so basic, right? Whatever. That's what I would pick. All right, here's my first reason. Because I know that I love that food, and I wouldn't want to mess up my chances of having fast food for the first time in a long time by going to a place where I know that I might not like it. So that's my first reason. Oh, get out of here. Every time I tap my mouse, it switches me. Sorry about that. My first reason is because I know I like their food. More details on that. So coming down to here, my first reason, my claim is McDonald's. My first reason is because I know I like their food. And then given more examples down here to strengthen my reason is I've been to other fast food chains where I don't always like the food that's on the menu. I know I like everything that's on McDonald's menu, so I will not be let down. This is just a little introduction to what an argument looks like. Now, you watch the video, hopefully, before opening this one as instructed in your course. But if you didn't, pause and open up that YouTube video to watch it. All right, let's move on to what the goals are for today. Your goal today is to choose a topic to argue, come up with 3 reasons to support your topic, which may include some researching that you may need to do. You need to come up with 1 counterclaim to your topic and refute it. What does that mean? A counterclaim is something that does not support your reason or your topic, goes against your reasoning, but you can argue against that argument. And then you've got to begin that first draft. So here are some hot topics that I just want you to consider. Pause the video right now and look over them. I'm not going to read them all. I just want you to have a chance to look over them. Okay, so hopefully you have had some time to look over them. If you didn't pause me, then I stayed quiet for long enough for you to at least read a handful of those. As always, you can go back to this too. So before I read you what's on this slide, I want you to think about that topic you have in your head, or those couple of topics that you have in your head, and how you're going to argue them. So consider that you're writing to me. Well, don't consider that you're writing to me. You are writing to me, and I do not agree with your position. For instance, I am going to discuss what the right age to give smartphones to children is. I struggle with that currently. I have a 6.5-year-old who thinks he is perfectly mature enough to have a smartphone. Clearly, I don't agree. However, he does have some friends that have them, and presents a really good argument about why he needs one. Emergencies at school, emergencies at friend's house, emergencies while he's at practice, or if I forget him at practice, which PS has never happened, but inevitably will, because I am really bad with times, dates, and remembering things. So that is just, it's going to happen. So he does have some points there. My argument would be that a kid doesn't need a smartphone until they are mature enough to handle the social responsibility that comes along with it. And frankly, that could be a different age for every single person. So until my child can prove to me that they're mature enough, well, then they're not going to be old enough. So I think that's what I'm going to argue today. What's the right age to give smartphones to children? My argument would be that the age is ambiguous, meaning there's not a clear age, but that it's maturity and responsibility that should determine when children can receive smartphones. With that in mind, so sorry, let's talk about how your argument will look. Yes, this is an essay. Yes, you are writing a paper. This is not necessarily a research paper, though I do have some requirements for the evidence that you present. All right, so let's talk about this. Where's my mousy mouse? There it is. An argumentative essay looks at both sides of an issue and refutes or responds to an opponent's view. Very simple argument would be the one that my daughter and I always have. Grapes are delicious. And her response is, grapes are slimy. I would write my argumentative essay on why grapes are delicious, and I would bring up her points of them being slimy and explain or refute that that is not slime, that is the meat of the grape, and it's delicious. An argumentative essay takes a firm stance on a topic. You're not going to say, I kind of agree, or this might be a good idea. You are going to say, this is what needs to happen, or this is the age that works, or students must stop being bullied on social media, or you must be 18 years old to have a Facebook account. You cannot wobble in the middle of anything. An argumentative essay is firm. It is clear. You are taking a stance on something. It addresses an issue that is interesting and debatable. I was just going to give you the example of people saying the earth is flat, but I really do think that some people debate that. Something that is not debatable is that we breathe oxygen. You can't debate that. I get, well, here's the thing. You can debate anything. Trust me, I went to college and there were a lot of people that argued about everything in practically every class I had. You know, those kids that like to hear their voice, right? Even when they have nothing to say. Just because you can argue it doesn't mean that there's an argument there. Please be aware of that. All right, so let's talk about what a reason is versus evidence. Let's go back for a second. In the beginning, I made a claim. I would choose McDonald's. My reason, because I know I like their food. Now I need to explain that with evidence. Okay, so my reason is a statement about why something happened or why it should happen. For instance, I was late for baseball practice because I couldn't find my glove. That is a reason. Now let's talk about evidence. Evidence consists of specific information that supports your reason. So what supports this reason here? For instance, if the person who was late for baseball practice holds up a glove and says, "See, I had to borrow my dad's glove," this is evidence that he couldn't find his own glove, but was likely searching for it, which caused him to be, or her, to be late. Makes sense. Evidence can come in several forms. You can have examples. You can illustrate a general statement with examples. Our town has many open spaces that can be turned into parks, such as a vacant lot. Facts. These can be proven true. The lot at the corner of 5th has been vacant for years. To make this more factual, I would put in there the exact amount. The lot at the corner of 5th and Main has been vacant for 6.5 years, or since 2012. Stats. These are also facts, but they are in numerical form. For instance, 5% of students in 106B have completed the argumentative essay. That is statistical, that is factual. Expert opinions. Now, experts are people, which means that their opinions can vary. But likely, they are an expert in whatever subject you are researching, and their opinions matter. Supporting views by people who know a great deal about the subject, those are expert opinions. The city manager agrees that the vacant lot at 5th and Main is an eyesore. So this is an opinion of a person whose opinion we care about. Quotations, these are taking people's exact words and using them to benefit your argument. Town resident Hope Lincoln agrees, I'd surely use a park if they made one here. Or anecdotes. Now these are just brief little snips of stories, tales, supporting your point. A story about stray dogs in the vacant lot scaring passers-by would be an anecdote that supports the idea that something should be done. Now, whether this is fact or not could be questioned, so try to stay away from the anecdotes as much as possible. All right, so here is a couple of graphic organizers. One is linear and one is cyclical, meaning it goes in a cycle. It just depends on what your brain sees as helpful on how you use these, okay? Let me persuade you is on the left, and this one is the linear one. This one is not as detailed as the argument paper outline, but it gives you some straightforward setup for how to complete this. So first of all, you're just going to put your topic or your point of view. McDonald's is the best fast food restaurant in my town. Now, I say in my town because there are probably fast food restaurants that align more with my eating preferences now in larger metropolises, but here in South Portage, McDonald's is the best, in my opinion. For the record, I don't eat meat, so I eat a lot of the breakfast items with the meat not on them. Just for trivia's sake. All right, so your lead sentence. You are going to have to think in thesis statement terms. What's a thesis statement? Well, right here is a really good setup for it. A thesis statement, I agree or disagree with blah because blah. Look at the sample. I agree with the cell phone policy because it reduces distractions in class, lessens cyberbullying at school, and improves social relationships. This is an excellent one because it follows a formula. And I think that's something where we are so scared of thesis statements because for some of us, they don't make sense. But mathematically speaking, it is a formula through and through. It is your topic plus your 3 reasons equals thesis statement. Okay? So think of, instead of lead sentence, think of this as thesis statement. So I believe that McDonald's is the best fast food restaurant because blah, 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 blah. Reason 1, reason 2, reason 3. Now here's a nice little space for your evidence. And this is where these forms of evidence come into play. And I would suggest, as you are filling this out, go back and look at what kind of evidence can I give? This is what is going to require you to do a little bit of research. I might want to show some stats. I'm going to go to the internet and search fast food comparisons, maybe in how many visits, like unique customer visits they have. So I wouldn't do it by orders. Maybe I would just do it by like, how many visitors they have a day. And hopefully searching that would show me that McDonald's leads that. So statistically, I can say in my first evidence, McDonald's has on average 20,000 more customers a day than Taco Bell or Burger King or Culver's combined. That would be statistical evidence and factual. What about an expert opinion? Who might be an expert on the best fast food? 10, 20 years ago, I was an expert on it, but my opinion doesn't matter anymore. Maybe somebody wrote an article on this. Maybe you can research that and come up with an expert there. Anecdotes. You could say, I asked 5 people randomly what their favorite fast food restaurant was, and 3 out of 5 said it was McDonald's. All right, so let's talk about the cyclical outline. You're going to start here with your thesis statement. I agree or disagree with. I agree that all students from 8th grade on should have cell phones because they are left alone more frequently. They need to learn independence and go back. And they are boy, man, see how hard it is to write these papers? Maybe it can promoting independence, left alone more frequently, and oh geez. I expect you guys to be doing the same thing when you're thinking of topics. Is like the first couple ideas come pretty easily, and then you're like, So pausing like this is perfectly acceptable. Oh, it prepares them for the real world, right? Which could fall under the responsibility thing, but for the sake of argument, no pun intended, let's say that that's our reasoning. Okay, so reason number 1, If you look up, that's where it is. Now, this is going to go back on me. Sorry, guys. My mouse keeps going to sleep, and if I click it, then it switches pages on me. All right, reason number 1, because they are left alone more often. Give me some evidence that supports this. In America, there are more kids between the ages of 12 and 16 that are left alone a day than there were left alone for at least part of a day than there were 20 years ago. That's not real evidence, so don't quote me on that. But that would be factual statistical evidence. Reason number 2, promoting independence. There is research out there that says the more responsibility that you give a child, the more independent that they will be as they grow into adulthood. Reason number 3, it prepares them for being productive adults because they learn how to deal with, this would be support, because they learn how to deal with and cope with maybe things that they wouldn't normally if they didn't have a phone. All right, so let's look at the counterclaim aspect. So we've come up with our topic. We've come up with 3 reasons to support our topic. Now we need to acknowledge a counterclaim, that one thing that says we are going to pop your argument's bubble right now. So this is how you do it in your paper. You don't bring it up and say, this other stupid argument is so stupid and dumb. No, 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 no. You bring it up maturely and you say, one other viewpoint is, or many people think, support, argue, claim that. On the other hand, or on one hand, people say, there is some support for the idea that, granted, some might argue that age 6 is appropriate to have a smartphone, or it could be argued that 6-year-olds all should carry smartphones. Okay? Look at this example over here about the minimum wage. The claim is, so this is what another student is coming out of the gate saying, this is the claim. The minimum wage in Oregon should be increased to $15 to ensure that all Oregonians can earn a living wage for their work. Now the counterclaim is, so in this same paper, your peer is going to say, people need $15 for minimum wage. However, many people think that raising the minimum wage will increase the prices and deter business growth in the community. On the other hand, raising the minimum wage might increase prices. It could be argued that raising minimum wage prices will increase, or raising minimum wage will increase prices. You have to throw in that counterclaim so that people that are reading this know you did your due diligence. This also promotes this concept for you that you can't just take one set of reasons and run with it. You need to continue to look further. Are there people that disagree with you? And if they disagree with what you think, why? And is there some valid point to that you can bring up and say, these people disagree with me, but here's why my argument is still better. All right, so let's get to this rubric. This is a really deep rubric. Now, remember, if you want to score an A, you're going to want to be in this 5 category right here. You've got a good introduction that includes a clear thesis. Your point, your claim, and your 3 reasons equal a thesis. The writer has 3 pieces of compelling evidence. Let's go back to this. Each one of these has 3 reasons, okay? Reason 1, 2, 3. I'm asking for 3 reasons and supported by evidence. So you need to have evidence for your supported reasons. Whether that's facts, statistics, anecdotes, quotes. So the writer has sufficient compelling warrant for each piece of evidence. This means that you're using evidence that matters to your topic. So you can't just throw in data points that aren't related to what your evidence is trying to prove. You acknowledge a counterclaim and disprove it. 3 reasons and a counterclaim, and they all must have evidence. Then you have a powerful conclusion. You're going to restate that thesis. That's going to be the very first sentence in your conclusion. And you're going to just remind your audience why you believe what you believe. Oh, we're going to take this one out right here because we aren't going to be working with partners. So don't worry about this one. But the next one is really important. You have less than 5 disruptive errors. I can't tell you how important this is. Even if you're just drafting an email, just reread it out loud to yourself, even if you have to whisper it. Because once you get more than 5 disruptive errors, friends, my brain just turns to mush. All right, so it's work time. Here's your to-do list. You need to choose a topic, write a thesis. Your claim plus your 3 reasons equals a thesis. You need 3 pieces of support. So you have an argument that green is the best color in the world. You need to come up with 3 pieces of support. Green is the color of money. Green is the color of the grass, which covers our earth. And green is the color of my eyes, which isn't true, but if I was claiming it, you know. And then one counterclaim, my husband thinks that blue is the best color on the earth, but he isn't as smart as me, so his opinion doesn't count. Now, these are very juvenile examples I'm giving you, but I want you to see the concept through. The next thing that you need to do is complete a rough draft. Make sure that I said one counterclaim. Complete a rough draft. Edit and revise. Mostly I want you to read this aloud and many times. And then you are going to submit your final draft. You're not going to submit your rough draft to me. We simply don't have time to do that in these credit recovery courses. That's going to be on you. Edit, revise it, submit it. As always, if you have any questions here, please don't ever hesitate to email me at dstoops, that's STOOPS @mglva.com, or call me or text me. If I am not available, I won't answer, but any time of day that you are working on the day or night that you're working on this and need help, just message me or call me 231-794-2609. If I'm available, I'll answer your question right away. Have a wonderful day and let me know if you need anything. Bye, guys.